So the countdown is on. October 31st, 2023. That is the day that everyone has an eye on, and that's because the Killer Clowns have been saying that they're going to rise up on that day and deliver a worldwide purge. Now, the Killer Clowns have been saying this for just about 7 years. Since 2016, the Killer Clowns have been adamant that they're going to make sure they succeed in their plans and that no one's going to stop them. Now, of course, over the past few years, they have yet to be successful. However, they also are stating that this year will be different, that this year they have recruited more clowns than ever before, and they have a lot of different plans in mind and a lot of different plots to unveil. Now, of course, October 31st, that is Halloween night, and while the Gaming Weekly would like to preface this by saying that all of you out there, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to go trick-or-treating with friends and family, to please be advised and to make sure that you are in groups and to be careful out there because the Killer Clowns are expected to attack on that day. Now, the Killer Clowns have been saying that they're going to purge on the 31st. However, it's not stopping them from delivering their acts even beforehand, because we have received a couple of different stories and anecdotes from people out there that suggest that Killer Clowns are on the rise already right now and stalking you. Here are some stories that, of course, show Killer Clowns out and looking right at you. Please be advised, viewer discretion is advised. As I stated, ladies and gentlemen, the Gaming Weekly has been surfacing through the web over the past 24 hours, and we found many different stories of people experiencing clown sightings. And the worst part is, some people are actually reporting sightings near their own home, as I stated at the beginning of the video. We're going to go ahead and talk about that right now. But I mean, this is very, very unsettling. I mean, one of the most creepy situations happening at the moment. Many of these clowns are looking to do a worldwide clown purge on Halloween, and the buildup seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. These clowns are really wasting little time putting the scare on people. But right now, we're going to go ahead and read some of the stories that we found online, and well, I'll tell you one thing. These stories are really, really creepy. In this first one, it says here, quote, "This happened to me 3 days ago. I was walking home from school yesterday and saw this person dressed in a colorful, vibrant outfit in the distance. I didn't think much of it until I realized he was getting closer and closer. I started speed walking, but I noticed he was still getting closer. He was finally close enough to the point where his face was visible. It was a man wearing a clown costume. I literally freaked and ran straight into my house without even looking back. When I arrived at my house, I looked out the window, saw nobody there. My parents were at work, so I was debating whether or not to get the neighbors, but after getting a glass of water, I calmed down and went to do my homework. Suddenly, I heard something outside, and I immediately freaked, still thinking about that man in the clown costume. I looked out the window and still saw nobody. At this point, my heart was pounding. I went to double check if all doors were locked. Thankfully, they were. I called my mom twice, but she didn't answer. At this point, I was contemplating if I should call the police, but at the same time, I don't want to be the kid that cried wolf. I went back to my room to do more of my homework, and it was quiet for a few hours, until around 7 p.m. Right around the time it gets dark, I heard another loud thud, but this time it came from my parents' room. I said to myself that there was no way it's that clown dude I was seeing walking outside moments ago. It's probably something else. I then heard yet another thud. I decided to go check and see what it was, and I entered my parents' room, and I froze. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. The man in the clown costume was standing outside my parents' window, crouched below, peeking through. Once he saw me, he ran. At this point, I was crying because I was literally scared like never before. That was when I called the police and told them what happened. My mom called me and I told her exactly what just happened. She told me she'd be rushing home, and the police told me how they searched around the area and the neighborhood, but unfortunately, they never saw or found a man lurking in a clown costume. Here is the second story that was found online. Me and my two friends were hanging out after school. We were having a great time and played some video games. Everything was going normal until we went outside. As soon as we went outside, we saw a clown with red hair literally under the porch. We thought it was some sort of prank, so we approached the clown slowly. All he did was just stare at us. As creepy as that was, we still thought it was a prank. It wasn't until he said in a very creepy and dark tone, "Follow me, everything will be okay." That's when I knew something was wrong. We obviously didn't follow the guy and ran back into the house. The three of us were shaken and extremely spooked. My friend told us that we should get some weapons just in case, just so we can go back outside to protect ourselves. At first, I thought it was a very bad idea, but at the same time, it sounded really exciting. I mean, we are kids, and us kids always are looking for some form of adventure and excitement. I agreed to it, and we all grabbed baseball bats we had stored in the garage. I even grabbed my camera, just in case if we can actually catch something. We went back outside, but this time the clown was nowhere to be seen. We went under the porch, and it felt so gloomy, and there was a very creepy vibe in the air. We all looked around, but there was no clown to be seen. My friend later yelled, "Guys, look!" We all ran towards him, and he had a note in his hand. The note simply said, "Soon, the purge will start." I felt goosebumps all over my body, and judging by the look at my friends' faces, they definitely had goosebumps as well. We walked around and saw no clown in sight. It was getting dark, so we called it off and went back inside. The creepy part was how when we went back inside and in the distance there was a guy walking. It was too dark to determine if it was the same clown guy. It almost looked like he was wearing red hair. The same hair of the clown we saw earlier today. It's just getting creepy and creepy, but this is now the third story that we actually found online. It says, "I was just about to go to bed when I heard a strange sound outside of my window. I went and looked, but there was nothing to be seen. After falling asleep for a few hours, I was awoken by a strange sound again. This time I was getting worried. What could possibly be out there in the middle of the night? I tried going back to sleep, but I couldn't. I was worried exactly what was out there. Then suddenly again, I heard a strange sound of wood cracking as if someone was walking over. That's when I knew I was not alone. I got up and immediately grabbed my pocket knife laying at my nightstand. I grabbed my flashlight and went outside. It was cold and very eerie. There was something about this that just made my stomach turn. All of a sudden, I hear a soft and very, very creepy laugh. I turned around, saw nothing. I turned to my left, I saw nothing. I turned to my right, nothing. I turned around again, and I still didn't see anything. That's when I yelled, "I know there's someone out there. I'm going to call the police if you don't stop." After yelling that a few seconds later, I heard another laughter. I turned around, and this time, I see a clown standing about 20 feet away from me. He had the full clown mask with the entire costume on. I saw his pon-pons, his creepy shoes, and his creepy-looking eyes. He was staring right at me, and I stood there in shock. I had my knife out, but that didn't seem to scare the crazed man. Then suddenly he waved at me, and he turned around and walked right into the woods. I have not seen that clown ever since, but I now sleep with my windows completely closed and my door locked. It's something I will never forget.